On with it. All right. Good morning, everybody. I am just going to go live here. We are in Monday morning already. It's Monday, the 18th of November, and it always surprises me that we are already. We've got to move that one. We're already on our way to Christmas. In fact, I think we've got less than 40 days to Christmas, and I know that because, as you can see, I'm wearing a Christmas jumper. If we go onto the inclusion.gg website, you will see our Christmas Advent extravaganza. So please do share the space out. Invite those people that you know would ordinarily be here. They probably can't find it. I'm going to send you a message. I'm going to send James a message. I'm going to send Alexia a message. There are all sorts of people who could be here at the moment, and if they can't find the room, that's not very nice for them. Hey, Shula, good morning. Good morning. We are just about to get going. Morning, James. I will just make you a moderator. So we are live on social media. We're live on Facebook. Hey, Facebook, how are you? Hello, people of LinkedIn. If you're awake already, I'm not sure you will be. I think you're all in bed, you business people. You might be in the gym exercising. And I realise that I've left the inclusion logo as a brand, and I'm going to take that off because actually we're in belonging in business. No, we're not in. We're not. We're on Motivational Monday. It's not Saturday, MJ. See, it was Saturday, and on Saturday we were in belonging in business, and very important stuff was happening. It's good to see you. Oh, it says you're not in the room apparently, James, and you're not a speaker and you can't be moderated, and yet you are. I'm going to share this out with Fran because she said that she was on her way. So let's just wait until we get a couple of people here to move on. Let me see if I can find her. Oh, I don't know whether I can. I'm not very good at this today. It must be under Francesca. She must have a grown-up name. Let's have a look. There we are. It's a grown-up name. There we are. I'm going to send her a message, show her the link, and then maybe she'll manage to get here. There we go. So I think I haven't told Alexia. Let me do that. Otherwise it might get done later. We can't let our most favourite human in the whole world. She might still be asleep, and too right if she is. Look, thank you for being here at 6 o'clock on a Monday morning. I don't know what your weekend's been like, but mine's been fantastic. Good morning, Dr. Foster. I am not in Gloucester. It is, however, a fantastic song that we have in England. Thank you. Good morning, Fran. I thought people might be finding it difficult to achieve the algorithm. So please share this space out. Ping your friends. Let's make sure that people get motivated this Monday. It always turns into a fantastic space when we share the love. And I've been sharing the love all weekend, not on LinkedIn like we are now, or on YouTube, which we're on. So those people on YouTube, hey, YouTubers, we are smashing that algorithm. And we're also on X. Now, most people have left X. When I say that, there's probably millions of people still there, but lots of people are avoiding X now. And there's some new ones opened up. I don't even know what it's called, but somebody messaged me and said he won Bluebird or Blue Thing. I don't know what it was, but I'm not there yet. And we've come off the other social audio media app. And the reason we've come off Chatter, I mean, my rooms are still there, is because it's not accessible to blind people or deaf people. We just can't even get captions. It's very, very difficult for a lot of my community to be included, and that's not good for me. It's not good for me. For those that don't know me, I'm a trainee social worker, a psychotherapist, and a SENCO. I've worked with disabled people since 1989. In fact, I worked out that I started working with Advocacy Alliance back in 1989, and Advocacy Alliance really was a forerunner to the advocacy services that we have now. Way back then, it was advocacy had come across from America, and it was for learning disabled young people whose parents were getting older, and they were looking for somebody to speak up for their young person for the rest of their life, when they'd passed away or when they were no longer able to look after them. And I remember joining Advocacy Alliance and going to a Sheffield collective of people who were saying that it was no longer okay that individuals who'd got to adulthood had to be looked after by their parents for the rest of their lives with no other representation, and that, representing disabled people, really that voice needed to be heard. we were giving feedback that day. It was a gathering in Sheffield. A lot of dignitaries and people from the services, social services, education services, healthcare services, and those long-term day services where, frankly, way back when, all those learning disabled individuals were expected to go and live. They were expected, after their parents died, for their house to be sold, for them to move into dormitory type places and to live their life in what we now call extra care or assisted living. But it wasn't really like that then. It was more like long dormitories where people lived together and they were almost schooled on a daily basis, and moved around from one place to another, and given, if you remember, basket weaving to do. That's what we gave our disabled people. Now, around the world now, people are still in that position where they are given quite menial tasks, repetitive tasks to do, and not really given the opportunity. In Uganda, where we have some international social work that we do, we help buy a farm here on Clubhouse for 101 orphans, and however you feel about that, it is what it is. They are now going to school, and we have a young lady in that 101 orphans who has a wheelchair. She has spina bifida, and I got the news from the person who runs the farm last Friday, that little girl is now wishing to be a teacher. She's going to school, and she believes that disabled people need teachers just the same as non-disabled people. So Uganda feels like they are back in 1989, and there are plenty of places all over the world for whom that is the truth, that actually we haven't got to the point where that lived experience is being mirrored in the world, and society does not yet serve society. It does not yet reflect society. So the feedback that we gave in 1989 really has acted as a powerful tool, because what that's done is it's provided an opportunity for disabled people to have a voice, for disabled people to have an advocate, and for an advocacy service to stand alongside them. In my case, metaphorically, the first person I stood alongside was a gentleman who had become blind through a birth challenge. And when I met him, he was needing an advocate to help his guide dog go out to the toilet and him have a place for that to go. He didn't have any housing. He didn't have any workfulness. He hadn't gone into education apart from special school. And he really was already in his 30s. Now, he'd moved out from his mum because he was at risk at home. And you know, he'd just been put into a private flat. There were 5 doors between him and getting out for his dog to go to the toilet. And of course, he can't even see where the dog's going to the toilet. So he needed an enclosure. And I volunteered my services from walking through the Brunswick Centre, which had just opened, and somebody saying to me, "Do you like helping people?" And me saying, "Actually, do you know, I do. I like helping myself, but I like helping other people too, because I have disabilities, and often people don't know what they're entitled to or how to get access to those reasonable adjustments." Feedback is really a powerful mechanism. It can create personal transformation. I spoke to a lady this weekend, one of my clients, who came back to me and said, "I've changed my diet, MJ, and I feel like a fraud now. For years and years and years, I've been in massive amounts of pain. I've not been able to move. I've not been able to do as much work as I want to. And just by changing my diet, my pain has diminished to the point I feel like a fraud." That was feedback I gave to her in her first session with me, when I said, "Well, I just wonder whether you've noticed that food is medicine, and maybe you might want to consider how your diet is impacting you." Now, because she took that feedback on the chin and went and had a look, she found Jordan Peterson. Now, he had a daughter apparently who was healed from her arthritis through diet. Now, I think Jordan Peterson has some interesting ideas. They're not all my ideas, but let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. His feedback about inflammation and osteo and rheumatoid arthritis is second to none. His daughter had many, many joint replacements, and when he changed her diet to, a carnivore diet, I think they call it paleontology, I think they call it an early diet, a kind of early tribal man diet, meat and pulses. Well, you know, their gut healed and they have not had operations since. So let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's appreciate that even Jordan Peterson, sorry for that, but I do have some feelings about him, has some great feedback that can help with that growth transformation. It is about self-discovery. So there's only one way, and that's your way or my way. My way is not your way, and your way is not my way. We don't even move through the world in the same way. I move through the power of wheels, and I would imagine many of you are bipeds. I don't mind bipeds, I'm just not one. And it's not a criticism, it's just that in order for me to align and continually improve, I like to hang with wheelie people, because actually they can help me share my understanding of my lived experience and help me grow through their understanding of the things that they learn too. And we have people on this stage that wheel around the world now. They didn't when I met them, but they are beginning to understand that that's the best way for them to move. And that's because they had some feedback. And my feedback to them, and I'm going to get to them soon, was that they had disabilities. They assured me they didn't. But I felt that actually I was mirroring some of their own difficulty with including themselves. Because, you know, feedback serves as a mirror. When we reflect our strengths and our areas for refinement, I think that's better than a weakness, right? The areas that we need to work on. It provides clarity on how we might continue to interact with the world and how the world interacts with us. And when we absorb that feedback and think of it as, you know, feed forward as opposed to just feedback. So how will this information impact on the choices and the preferences I have going forward? I think, and we act experimentally, right? So when we just see what suits us, I think then it becomes less of a transactional process. So I'm telling you this and you're telling me that, but we actually become more holistic. And you know what a holism is? It's the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. And that doesn't seem real or possible, but it is. If you look at quantum physics, we know that holism is the sum of the parts becoming greater than the whole. And that's why we are better together. So on this Motivational Monday, Monday the 18th of November, we are going to be looking at 5 ways. 5 ways. So if you want to make notes, get a pen and paper now. If you want to make notes on your phone, I would, just because I think these are gems. I think we're dropping some absolute gems this morning, and I think that these are esoterical principles, they're spiritual principles, and principles based on my lived experience and the lived experience of the participants that I've supported. So I think that the problem with feedback is my ego. Going to say that again. I think the problem with achieving feedback, for me to take feedback on the chin, as it were, is my ego. Because information that we're receiving new is unusual to us, and therefore generally I respond, I'm going to talk about me, initially through insecurity or pride. When somebody gives us feedback or feed forward and they say, what do you think about this? Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it's just a bit ouchy. Usually just below your chest, in your solar plexus, where you'd be punched in the stomach. You double over. That way you get winded. That's your ego and your pride responding. And so to grow, I had to cultivate humility. Yep. And cultivating humility means that I have to listen without my ego interfering, without that solar plexus rising up, without my indignation, my ego state rising up in me. And we know that feeling when somebody says something and you're like, whoa, hang on a minute before you tell me what I should do or what I am. We need to adopt a state of inner stillness. And I'm going to talk to you about how I do that once I've given you these 5 ways. So we can hear it as neutral information, not information to attack us or shame us or blame us or have a go at us or tell us we were wrong. because, you know, we're always wrong and we're right, both at the same time. Rather than a personal attack, right? Seeing it as neutral rather than feeling attacked. And that needs, I think, a pause. It needs us to stop. Just take a breath. Literally, take a breath, because feedback can wind us. It can literally and metaphorically and esoterically and spiritually and energetically wind us. I'm sure you're all feeling, I've got a sense of that winding feeling just beneath my chest and at the top of my stomach, where you'd be punched and you just can't catch your breath. So when we pause without reacting, then we can receive feedback rather than defending or explaining or seeking to answer. We're listening to understand rather than respond, taking a moment to breathe and truly hear what's being said. I wasn't having a go at my client, but I did know my client worked with dogs, and she told all of the dog owners, that was the client that I said about a diet, she told all of the dog owners never to feed their dogs wheat because they couldn't tolerate it, never to feed them dairy because their guts would not be comfortable, and that in order that they stopped the behavior that they were doing and they weren't suffering, that they needed to remove those things from their diet. And I said to her, you know, we're all animals, don't you? Well, that's not easy to hear if your ego rises up and says, hang on, I am a sentient human being with a frontal lobe, and I am developed, and I am intelligent, and I am articulate. But instead of reacting, she paused and listened and heard that kernel of truth that aided her growth. And 2 months later, she feels a fraud because her pain has diminished. And when she saw me, I said to her, you know, I knew nothing about diet. I used to think that fruit wasn't a carb. And that's true. I didn't know fruit was a carb. I remember saying to somebody on this stage, I don't know anything about diet. You're going to have to tell me, because I don't even know what's what. I don't even know what I should eat. I don't know what you mean by weighing food. I mean, I don't weigh food, I'll be honest. I don't know what you mean by it. I don't know why I do it. I don't know what I need to put on my plate. I don't know why I'm eating high protein. I don't understand why I'm reducing simple carbs. I don't get it. You're going to have to teach me. And I did get some information that helped me begin to understand that dietary process. And 4 years on, I believe that I am now fairly boss at understanding my own nutrition. The thing is that mirrored relationship allowed my client to see that I wasn't talking from a place of shame or blame. I showed her pictures of how much weight I've lost. I showed her pictures of how my face looks in comparison to how it did, and I talked to her about the principle of, which is a Hermetic idea. If you want to look that up again, I said write some notes down. As within, so without. What I put in, I get out. What we deny in ourselves is actually everything that we need to lean into. And actively seeking feedback from people that we trust, well, people that we know well. Those individuals do reflect well back the aspects of ourselves that we might not easily see. There's a thing called Johari's window, Johari. Joe and Harry were developed by Luft and Ingham. Luft and Ingham wrote about the Johari's window, and Joe and Harry got together and said, do you know, there's things I know about you that you don't know, and there's things that the public can see that in private you don't show, and vice versa, things in private that you don't show to your public face. And there's things that even you don't know that I do, because I can see you and you can't always see them. And if you look up Johari's window, it's a simple pane of glass, a square separated into 4 squares. I'm just doing it now on the screen. And in each 4, there are 4 quarters, a hidden, an open, a hidden to others, and a hidden to self and others, I think. But look it up and you'll see just how wonderful it shows our perspective. So whether it's a mental, like I'm talking about, I'm her coping strategy coordinator. I provide her coping strategy support through the Access to Work programme, and we get to achieve 24 hours with individuals that apply through our Access to Work programme. If you are disabled and you don't know about that, do give us a shout, and we can share that link with you. We can pop it in the chat maybe. And if you don't know about our other link, then that'll be up in the room shortly, and that's our GoFundMe link for our charity. But that coping strategy support, whether you're coming to Inclusion tonight at 7 o'clock, and the room is on Clubhouse. I haven't updated the title yet, so look out after this room. But whether it's a mentor, a coping strategy support worker, or a partner, it might be the person you live with, it might be your parents, it could be a friend. Those people can offer a clarity about what you call your blind spots, those areas that you can't see because your ego's in the way, right? It is. Your ego's in the way. And the ego keeps us safe. It's a very powerful part of ourselves. Freud said there was the id, which are our basic needs. I want to eat, sleep, poop, cry, be loved. Our id, our ego, which keeps us safe and checks out what's going on and works things out, and our super ego. And you can go and look at that. That's a different story for a different day. But we know that seeing an alternative perspective can offer us insight into our blind spots, especially when we just pause and take a moment before we respond. So, aligning with our inner guidance is number 2. That feedback gives us often subtle, unspoken guidance when we reach out to the universe for it. Our soul whispers our truth, that feeling in our gut, that feeling in the base of our gut, in our base chakra, right up to our solar plexus. That gut feeling from the top of our gut to the bottom speaks the truth about our path. And we know what we know more than we ever know that we know what we know. And to listen to that voice really does involve quietening. It involves quietening the external noise and seeking the wisdom within. And that might sound a bit airy-fairy, but I think we know what we know. And when we get a gut feeling, we know what our inner self is saying. And I believe that I am, I know that I am means I am God. And the God within speaks louder than the God we seek outside of ourselves. And often we have everything within us that we need to find out what it is we should do. So reflect on your daily choices. I would suggest that journaling and meditation are really powerful. I have a gratitude journal where I write down every day what I'm grateful for, maybe 10 things that I'm grateful for. And that can be breathing, right? I'm grateful for breathing. There was a time I was in hospital when I had to be breathed for. And so I'm grateful I can breathe independently. So from being able to breathe independently, to smile at your loved ones, to waking your children, even when you've got to pick them up from school, right? And you haven't got much time. Imagine if you couldn't pick them up from school. Imagine if they weren't there and how that feels. I think sometimes we don't appreciate what we've got until it's gone. So ask yourself, what is in alignment with my values? What is good for me today? Because even in workfulness, if we are working outside of our values, it can be very, very, very discombobulating. Those internal check-ins, how does this feel? How do I feel about it? Does it check out? Really important. And then we don't need that external validation because we actually know what we know. I also think that when we do feel criticised, and I'm moving on to number 4 rather, I'm lying to you, number 4, we can transform criticism into energy for us, not to us. I said to another lady this weekend, all these things happen for us, not to us. It's not about, I'm just going to look at this. It says on my new diary. What does it say on my new diary? Let me move the boxes. There we are. Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's learning to dance in the rain. And I said to her, we've got to learn to dance in the rain. There's no point in waiting for that storm to pass because it's not going to pass. They keep on coming, right? Just as one dissipates, another one begins. So in alchemic terms, turning the lead of negativity, if you know what alchemy is, and transmuting it into the gold of insight is a gift. We can reframe feedback, negative and positive, and I have had some negative feedback in this week. I've been put on what I call it report in my placement for being direct, and I'm taking that as a gift even when it's difficult to hear, because when we are faced with harsh criticism, we need to say thank you to those people, and that we are grateful, because we can ask, what can I learn from this? What can I reflect upon? What can I achieve? Because it allows me to refine my character, to not blame or shame or become emotionally responding to those microaggressions, like I haven't got a desk, I can't get in the kitchen, I didn't really have a parking space that was effective, my placement wasn't really ready for me. But I had expectations, and when they weren't met, I definitely responded with some emotional response. But rather than that, being grateful for the opportunity to refine my character, even if their delivery was flawed, even if putting me into special measures or whatever they want to call it, I don't know what it's called, report, a meeting about me with me, and some about me without me, no doubt, happen to see if I am still fit for practice, to see if my reaction to those challenges was appropriate or not, and whether there should be any support. I see it as a supportive process. They are mentioning things like desks and chairs and entrances and exits. So I think it's a health and safety thing too. So I'm going to try and not take that feedback as a failure, but take it as feed forward, so that they can learn to do the things that I require as an individual that rolls through the world, unlike every other social worker that I work with. And that leads me on to number 5, where actually, when feedback is embodied, and we embody it into action and reflection, that promotes true growth for me. It needs that interplay of action and reflection. Feedback is meaningless if it isn't integrated into our lived experience. If my client hadn't looked at her diet and considered whether what she was eating was impacting her well-being, and tried it out for herself, remember, there's only one way, and that's your way, my way, not our way, because actually we have some similarities, but we also have some differences. If it isn't integrated, well, it's pointless. But she took that information and she trialed it. She tested it for herself. And that's the only way that feedback is useful. Then the action grounds that feedback into experiences, and it lets us internalize the lessons that we've learned. Her lesson was that when she stopped eating wheat and dairy and lots of carbs, and lots of vegetables actually, because she's healing her gut and she has irritable bowel syndrome, quite dramatically impactful irritable bowel syndrome, which can turn into diverticulitis. It can lead to acid reflux, and acid reflux can lead to a hiatus hernia, and it can lead to esophageal cancer eventually. So it really is important that we manage our gut flora and fauna through the food that we eat. And there's no point in just taking the pharmaceuticals and going, well, I've got omeprazole and all those other antacid results, the Rennie, you've seen it at Christmas. Oh, take a Rennie. Well, yeah, that's fair enough, but the impact it's having on the gut lining is still happening, even if the feelings have dissipated. So acting to revisit the situation and evaluate the results is what she did. And did the changes impact on her outcomes? Yes, they did. And did they feel real to her? Well, for years, she said, she had been in too much pain to work. It's an iterative, a repetitive cycle of action and reflection to allow us that growth can continue and that it's meaningful. We can apply it to our lives. So I'm nearly at the past, and I'm going to finish in a second. So in conclusion then, I hope you've made some notes. Achieving growth through feedback needs more than a surface level willingness to listen. It needs us to open our hearts, open our chakras actually, and have a reflective mind and a proactive spirit. I'm going to say that again. A reflective mind and a proactive spirit. Because when we act on our reflection, we can embody that into our lived experience. In a spiritual way, which I am incredibly spiritual, even more than I ever have been all my life, it's an opportunity to align with our higher purpose. That feeling in our solar plexus is our soul's cry for our becoming, everything that our God of our understanding wanted us to co-create with God in this lived experience. And then we can create through those insights coming into reality. I need to change my diet. I need to change the way I move. I'm going to change the way I learn. I'm going to change the way I sleep and talk about myself and talk to others and respond and react and take a breath before I get punched in the stomach. And even when I am punched in the stomach, esoterically, by that feedback, take a breath, thank the universe for it, see what the learning is going to be from it, because there's always learning. People are put in our path for us, not to us. And through that lived experience, we can ground these insights into reality. This is the dynamic interplay when we are creating inner transformation. So without, so within, so without, so without, so within, to our outer action. Growth then becomes not just an outcome, actually, but a way of us being. And I want to say thank you, because this morning I think that I have created my own personal alchemy through the feedback of the individuals that I support and through the feedback of my own lived experience, creating my feedback into Feed Forward. So I am looking forward to hearing from Victoria and James and Alexia and anyone else that wants to come up. Great to see you, Amanda and Shula and Tony and Alistair. How lovely to have you here. I'm just going to add you back there because I haven't got you as a follower and I haven't followed you. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to check I already have with you, Amanda. So there we are. It's great to see you here. And we are here on a Monday at 6 a.m. for Motivational Monday. And I think I feel motivated. I don't know about you. I'm looking forward to hearing if the ladies and gentlemen on the stage, my co-hosts, are excited and motivated. And it's great to see you here on a Monday night at 7 p.m. We're back in inclusion. We're not in MJ's house. We're in inclusion, and inclusion is the only foregone conclusion for ourselves in this lived experience that we are. Because as disabled people, we're going to be included. That's just the way it is. So we're here at 7 o'clock. So if you want to come and talk to us, then I will find out in a minute what I'm talking about. Because I'll be honest, I can't quite remember this second. It's not the one that you'll find on Clubhouse right now, but it's certainly planned. So I would come and find out what it is. It's something really good. I think it's usually something to do with being disabled. So if you know somebody, you are somebody, or you're going to be somebody who's going to be disabled. And let's face it, unless we die in our sleep, we're all yet to be disabled. Sorry to let you know that, but it is true. So really, inclusion is your game, because you're going to be included one way or another, probably before you die. So I would come and learn it before you have to, because it can just get you suddenly. And there's plenty of people for whom that is true that I work with. So come to Inclusion tonight, hit on the Inclusion House, join and get there at 7 o'clock, and you can be with us again 13 hours later. And then on Saturday, we go for 8 a.m. and that's Belonging in Business. We're back in MJ's house on a Saturday. And if you want to go and listen to those replays, there are hundreds, or maybe not hundreds, but there's a lot of replays every week. We've been here for a couple of years now, I think. So there's certainly in the more than dozens feedback for you to be able to go and listen to. And they're all very much like this, but they're a bit more exciting because they've got all of you lovely people feeding back the way I've fed forward to you. So I'm looking forward to hearing your reflections. And we've got 25 minutes and 4 of us left to speak. And that means you've all got 5 minutes each. And we've got 5 minutes for me to conclude. So I think it's perfect timing. We're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing in the right way. And that's Feed Forward for you. Good morning, Victoria. You were first, I think, today.
Yep, morning. I've been having trouble getting into Clubhouse for some reason for the last few weeks. But today it let me start the event. So,
yay!
Yeah. So anyway, I'm offering my help as an expert by experience in deafness to the substance misuse services who have no provision for inclusion for anyone with a disability, so it seems. And they're just starting like fact finding and like gathering evidence to see how they can make their services inclusive. So I wrote like notes and like a sort of essay type thing about how to make it more inclusive for a deaf person, and I'm maybe getting invited to some of the meetings on Zoom. And she has put my contact details on the thing and put it on Teams or whatever for all the staff. But yeah, it's amazing that they're only just like, right now starting to go about doing that, because I'm sure there's people who struggle with alcohol and other substances that need those services, that there's no provision for them. So in other news, my online Etsy is up and running, and I have products, and it's all very exciting. James, I'm posting tomorrow. I was waiting for bubble wrap, so that will be posted to you. Thank you for being a customer. That's amazing. Does the confidence good that somebody wants to buy your work, So yeah, it's all very exciting, and I am symptom-free mental health-wise now, which is absolutely amazing, because I realise I've been on a right roller coaster since I got back from my road trip around Scotland, and I went deaf, and that caused tinnitus, which caused sleep deprivation for over a week, maybe 10 days sleep deprivation, which caused the psychosis. And yeah, I am only just out the other side of it really now. And I didn't realise, because I was struggling along and still doing everything. But yeah, I kind of woke up one morning and I thought, oh no, actually, I think now I'm better, and before I wasn't. So yeah, that's amazing. So long may it continue. So yeah, I will hand over to whoever wants to talk to next. That's all my news, and it's good to catch up with you all.
It's great that you're here, Vicky, and I'm so glad to hear that you're feeling improved. I've seen your work and the fact that you're producing your prints. I like the fact that you're mixing your pardon me, I've just got some water, please forgive me, your reality art with the AI intervention. I love the fact that you are combining yourself and your many years of artfulness with the progress that we've got now. I love to see your evolution, and I can see your Etsy shop going boom. I'm glad that people are buying it. By the way, just as an aside, I wouldn't mind an L off you, because my love says Ove. I bought a piece from you just a year ago, and the L fell off of love. So I'd appreciate an L if you could make me one. That would be lovely.
Yeah. I'm going to send you a Neuro Spicy bracelet as well.
Oh,
I think you should be wearing one of those and promoting my product for me.
okay.
I've also done a Neuro Spicy calendar as well.
Sounds good.
With all sorts of little quotes and little illustrations.
Oh, I think that's going to go really well. Please send that in the post to me. That'll be lovely. I'll be glad to wear it wherever I go. And I was on the internet, would you believe, to New York last night, so I will wear it with all of my social workers who, I'll be honest, we've had an explosion in social workers declaring themselves as neurospicy or neurodivergent, as is the real way of saying it, but it's definitely the hip way of calling ourselves neurodivergent is neurospicy now. An explosion of social workers saying that they are neurodivergent. And of course, unfortunately, when they work for the local authority at present, if you work for the DWP, you can't have access to work. And if you work for the local authority, they try and provide things internally, and they're not that good. They don't really know what they're doing. So let's have that neurospicy stuff out there. and share it with my fellow social workers who are just coming into their own as to understanding that they are in fact sentient, extra, what we call hyper empathic. They feel everything right around them, and that's why they're so good at working out what's going on and feeling a situation out. Now they're finally realizing that that's called neurodivergent, and how wonderful that is for me after 53 years. Well, 33 years actually of understanding what the word autism meant when my son was diagnosed. So yeah, Neurospicy are us. Let's bring it on, Vic, and we'll get your Etsy shop up and running. I can't wait. Access to Worker here, and you're on your way now to that future where you are financially free and independent of those welfare benefits in the future. I can already see it. I can see that happening right here, right now, and it's just a matter of the gap between here and there. I'm so excited. And here's somebody else that is on their way. What great reels I have seen this weekend. Positive Reels, James. Positive Reels advertising, a great service, because you're working in the bike in the community bike repair and provision services in Wigan, and I love to see those positive posts. How are you this morning?
Yeah, really good. I've been getting quite positive with the DIY this morning, because my DIY skills tend to be really enhanced in the twilight hours. So I can see the coffee tables moved from one side of the room to the other. But when I say a coffee table, it's like 2 meters square, and it's not at dwarf height. It's at waist height, but it's moved and it's got a few one-arm bandits on it now, so it's ready for a bit of gambling. But I'll let you have some winnings, anyone that comes and plays on my machines here. But it's a rather awkward location for most people to get to. But that doesn't really matter, as that it's really close to the cycling shop for me, and it's really handy because last week our local MP sent us a letter from Parliament congratulating us on our work at the cycling shop. So we're going to get that framed at some point with our lottery plaque. We got £17,000 from the Lottery Heritage Fund, and we're very pleased to have received that. So we are looking at other funding streams now at the shop, and those funding streams are getting more volunteers walking in the door. I've had some further inquiries this week that I've got to sort some emails out for. So that should take a little while for me to type an email, but I'll get all of those dealt with this week. I've got quite a few leads in Wigan to follow up on. But yeah, it is interesting how you say about the when you find that you're in the wrong location and then you end up being gifted to be in the right location. That's nice, as one of my Irish friends says, and that's perfectly fine. So I'm going to move forward. I'm going to Avanti, actually. I'm going to move forward and let Julian have a word, because I think that's how my screen is this morning. If you pull to refresh,
I did.
You can just see that life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain, and I've got to widget that on the wall at some point, because it's just lent on the floor at the moment. So it's going to be much later on this afternoon when the drilling noise happens, because that upsets a few people, and I wouldn't want to be triggering any people, would you? So have a lovely day, everyone, and I will move along nicely. Thank you.
Oh, James, I feel the energy coming across from Wigan. I can sense your energy is positive and it's moving forward and it's facing forward towards Christmas, and you've got a plan. You're a man with a plan. You're a man with a mission. You're a man on a mission, and you're a man with a massive heart for cycling, recycling, and helping people get on their bike. I am proud of you. I'm proud of everything. I couldn't be with two people by my side, either side of me, better you two and the energy that you two are putting out this morning, and the positivity that you've turned your feedback into. I think you're just outstanding. Ju, good morning. Are you there? I've not managed to speak to you yet this morning. I've missed you, my love.
Morning.
Good morning. Did you sleep well?
I did.
Oh, that's what I like to hear.
I slept through our phone call this morning.
I'm not surprised.
Missed it.
I'm not surprised because yesterday we did quite a lot of really important work together. You did quite a lot of really what they'd call therapeutic work, you know. You really did. I know you won't really remember that that's what it was, but it was. So I'm not surprised you slept well. You really processed a great deal of stuff. We talked about quite some deep stuff, didn't we, yesterday, Joe?
I'm on right thingy.
Yeah, I need to go look it up. Let me remember it. Oh, why can't I remember it? That's terrible. Let me just go and find out what it was, and I'll tell you now. And then I do want to talk about that, actually, because you're right, we did. You're absolutely right. You see, you reminded me. I can't believe that we've forgotten it. Basically, I did your cards, and your cards said, let's go and create the world from what we've got. And we were speaking in Egyptian, weren't we? I can't find it. I can't find it. But I'll tell you what, it's another thing for another day. It really is. No, I can't find it. That's really frustrating.
My cards were that good. You decided you wanted them
as well. I did. I said that actually our cards were all of our cards, and there was no need. Anyway, I've just found them now because I've got a picture of them because I'm so good. So Amon Ra Ra Hekar.
That's it.
Amon Ra Ra Hekar. Amon is creation. Ra. Amon Ra, creation. And Ra is enlightening. And Hekar is alchemical force. So it is the creation and enlightening alchemical force. Amon Ra Ra Hekar. And when we looked it up, it said that when we said that saying, when we chant that, then we evoke the very creation of the universe within us and without us. So yes, I took those cards as being our cards, Ju, because I think we're better together, right? I didn't need any more cards than that, did I?
No.
And I even wrote a song. I even wrote a song about Amon Ra Ra Hekar, would you believe? I have a song on my phone which I'll play you later, and I got an AI to transmute it into a finished chant. So we have an Amon Ra Ra Hekar chant, which I will send you to listen to, and then you can evoke the very universe within you and without you. You don't need to. Well, there's your feedback, right? Your feedback is that the universe was saying you are a creator, and we are a co-creator. That's what we did yesterday. We created the universal energy together, didn't we?
We did.
Which I think bodes well for Christmas. I think we're probably going to have some magical happenings when we go to Center Parcs. We're going for 4 days, and I already am excited to be zipping through the woods with you in our chairs, and I've got a spa books, haven't we? We've got a spa books at Center Parcs. I'm so excited. So Amon Ra Ra Hekar, I want to co-create even more fantabulous futures together, and I'm excited for Christmas. Are you?
I
am. I'm excited because I love 5 days off placement for a start. And Christmas is coming, and my Christmas jumpers have continued. I think you've seen most of them, haven't you? Because you see me on a morning when I take my photo. I was sat as Mother Christmas, wasn't I, on Saturday morning? The things you get to see at 4:30 in the morning, eh? At least it's not like our Alexia. I mean, if you saw Alexia, she'd be naked. Which, I just don't think that that's right amongst friends. You might disagree, Adu. So do you think nobody's talked about about feedback? Do you think we do grow through feedback, through listening to what each other's got to say?
Definitely.
There we are. I've got a winner. It's a winner chicken dinner. Is it chicken dinner? Yeah. Winner turkey dinner. I should say winner turkey dinner because it's nearly Christmas. I've thought about having a reindeer. I thought about having reindeer meat on Christmas Day, which might sound a bit vicious. But it did make me laugh to think about having a reindeer steak. Winner reindeer dinner. Sod the chicken. So thank you for being there on Saturday. We make some magic together. And of course, I said that you were a muse again, didn't I?
Yeah.
Not amusing. I don't think you're amusing. I do think you're amusing, but I do think you're a muse because together we have designed the greatest festival I think we've ever known. I think it's gonna challenge Glastonbury. I think it's going to challenge the Edinburgh Fringe. I think Inclusion Festival is going to challenge everybody, don't you?
I do.
I do. I can't wait to see it, especially if it's got those ping pongs involved. We're going to have a festival that we're going to include ping pong balls, people, and only me and you know what we're on about. I'm going to move on to Alexia now and just check she's not naked. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Alexia, come on. Are you there? Good morning, my love.
Good morning. No, I'm not quite naked.
Oh, not quite naked, but you see, it joys me to know that you're still in your PJs. How are you? Happy, beautiful, amazing Monday.
I'm just going to be honest. I'm struggling right now.
Oh,
the earth is going through a time of change.
It is.
And it is really unbalancing me mentally, physically, psychologically. But I want to bring up something you brought up about food.
Yeah.
We've lost one of their greatest adverts. I can't think of that doctor that used to talk about do all the tests on himself, medical doctor. Used to be on TV. I can't think of his name.
Not Hillary. Not Hillary Jones, no.
No, not Hillary Jones. Oh,
it's all right. It'll come when you start talking.
Yeah. Anyway, he do all sorts of tests on himself. So I've had Dad and Daniel here on and off all weekend when I really just wanted a bit of time to recoup myself. And that sounds awful because today the scooter's going back together. So later today it'll probably be going for its test run. But what I did, one, because I was busy, but two, also I wanted to research it. I went out with Daniel to pick up some money to obviously pay them both for what they were doing. And my walking has deteriorated so much, it's become an issue for me to even walk around the town on my own, especially if I'm going to go to a cash machine and get money out. And sadly, these days, that's one of the realities of life, that you've got to get it in the street, which can make it extremely unsafe, even if you are young and fit. You only need somebody watching you. But what I actually did was go, into the local store and buy 2 so-called ready meals just to see what was in there and what it was like. One was supposed to be like a minced beef with dumplings, and the other one was a chips with a kind of chili sauce. And I wanted to see how my body was going to react to that. It's made my arthritis 10 times worse. It upset my sleep pattern. There is actually, there was only, in that meat one, there was 2 pieces of meat, and the dumplings were so small that if you curl your thumb and first finger together, they weren't even as big as that gap. Now, there was no goodness in that food. It was full of salt. The first thing I could taste was the excess of salt in the gravy. So please, if you don't know how to cook, then find out how to cook.
I'll send you some simple things you can do if you don't know how to cook, because I used to dog sit people's pets when they went away, and I worked for a company and I had to produce my own food. You weren't supposed to eat what the clients had, you had to provide everything yourself. So I've learned very easily to cook everything in 1 or 2 saucepans. If you change that one thing, and MJ has already talked about this, it will improve your health. The other thing is, it's not always cheaper to buy big. We need to get companies going back to not always put in resources of 50 or 100 carrots in a pack. Unless you've got a big family, you don't need that kind of resource unless you're prepared to make those carrots up into soup or put them in casseroles or in other things. Because this is where a lot of our resources are going. Because Mother Earth is where all your resources come from. So when we waste those resources, we're wasting Mother Earth. You can't live without this planet. This planet is struggling. We've had more problems throughout the world. England buys over 50% of its food from abroad. There's more and more problems in the world. Talk to your local councils. Get them to stop building on land that we can grow food on. Because if any of you were watching TV over the weekend, you will know there was a thing on TV about what it was like just at the start of the Second World War and during the Second World War. And we struggled then to feed ourselves because we were importing so much. Now, I'm not saying you need to give up everything you like, but please, it's Christmas time. You do not need to buy all those extra resources for visitors. They survived then without them. They still enjoyed it. They still enjoyed life. We become an earth of sheer greed. And I'm sorry, but that is exactly what it comes down to. I used to feel as guilty as everyone else, but maybe that's the lesson of losing absolutely everything to fraud, including my home. And I was literally one step away from being on the street. And I do mean one step. If Amy hadn't taken me in, that's where I would have been, and I wouldn't be alive now. For the simple reason that in those days, if you needed medication from the NHS, the only way you could get it was if you had a verified address. And I wouldn't have had if Amy didn't take me in. So taking time to reflect on what you think you actually do need and what you do need are two different things. And this is a great lesson that you could teach grandchildren and children, because they're the ones that are really going to be hit by what's happening. We've had really heavy rain over a heavy part of England. The temperature has dropped almost overnight. The earth is telling you it can't cope with what we're taking. So instead of buying half a dozen bags of crisps and thinking that's a meal, I'm going to tell you now, you might as well not eat at all, because there is no goodness in those crisps whatsoever. Not unless you're going to make them yourselves, and believe you me, that's fiddly to do. So just buy what you need. You don't need a backup source of everything. A little bit of love of kindness to this planet is being kind to you, is being kind to your children, to your grandchildren. And the more you're kind to the planet, and one of the simple things is thinking about the water you use, because what happens to these things is water is collected in the clouds by the warm weather and comes down. The further up it gets, the longer it takes to come down, and can come down as ice or snow in such heavy ways as it is now. That is washing the soil away that we need to grow food in. And when that soil is gone, you can't bring it back. It's not a finite resource. So if you want to do something for yourself, think about the resources you use. The scooter that we're completing now is bright orange for two reasons. One, because like MJ, I like to do something that's a bit crazy. But also, that scooter has been salvaged from what somebody else in certain circumstances would have just been destroyed. So I didn't take any more from this planet than I needed to put that scooter back together. But it's the best one I've done yet. So what's the best thing you can do to help your children have a better life on this planet? Whether you've got a disability now or whether you haven't, as MJ says, at some point you're going to get older. You're going to find it harder to move. You're going to find it harder to see. By eating the right things, your health will stay better longer. She's already talked about how many people have health issues, and when they change what they eat, it changes how they think, how they feel. I would say a little bit of some of the reaction I've had is to eating that food. Why? Because if you're buying mass-produced food like that, in simple terms, they take all the naturalness out of it and put man-made things in it to keep it. That's a natural fact. So by eating naturally, your health will improve. So drink plenty of water. That's not something I enjoy doing, especially this time of year, because I have something that actually makes me get cold very quickly. But it doesn't mean that I can't find another way of drinking it by either putting hot lemon in it or a combination of oregano tea and lemon if you don't want to do it any other way, which is how I tend to drink it. But please have a think about what you buy this Christmas. I'm not saying don't have holidays, but think about your travel, because that is one of the biggest things that can cause problems to this planet right now, is the amount of travel we do. And I'm not saying anybody should stop travelling, but if it's a nicety travel, think twice before you do it. Can you combine it with something else? Because that's saving the Earth's energy. So I'm just going to relinquish there, because my Raynaud's disease is beginning to kick in, and if I get too cold, I'm going to have a job to get warm. So I'm going to send love and light to you all, and have an absolutely fantastic day, week, and hope to see you all tonight.
Oh, Alexia, I hope I do see you tonight, but don't worry if you're tired. I understand. It's great to hear from you, and I'm sorry you're struggling. But you know what I said? That actually this feedback from the universe is feed forward. So I'm here for you, and we're here for you. Inclusion's here for you. And just reach out today. I'm working from home. I'm working with the local authority, but I've got another individual who's struggling. And I've just said, look, if you need to text me, do it. And I'll take my lunch break when I need to, on behalf of whoever needs me, really. So I love you very much, and my your feedback to me about water meant that I sat drinking whilst you were talking. So thank you for that aid memoir, and big hugs from everybody. I hope you can feel it. We love you, and we're here for you, and we aren't going anywhere except by your side. So however that makes you feel, just know that you are loved. And if I could put my arms around you now and wrap you up, I would, and keep you warm and make you feel safe and comfortable, because you're not on your own. You're not on your own. You're genuinely not. And don't eat that shit again. I'm going to send you some veg if you're not careful. I'll get Charles to come
It
and cook
was
for you.
disgusting, MJ. They shouldn't. Actually, the company should be fined for putting it out there.
It's
There was
disgusting.
2 tiny pieces of meat in there, and they weren't as big as my little fingernail.
No. Oh, baby.
It was disgusting.
Yeah. Anyway, let's
Really
move
was.
on. You're amazing for having recognised it, right? That's feedback to you. And we're at 7 o'clock. I'm just going to move on to Tony. Tony, you are last, but by no means least. And I'm okay for 5 minutes. My breakfast is being made by Charles, and we can definitely end this room on a you, because I love you. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for loving me.
You are welcome. Thank you for loving me.
Also, I'd just like to say, first of all, that I agree with everything that Alexia said, and she's spot on, absolutely bang on about everything she said.
Mm.
The social network that you were trying to remember earlier is called Blue Sky.
Ah, there we are.
It's growing steadily, quite fast, really. Not as fast as some others. I've just joined it myself, and it's a positive place, and it's seems to be a gentle and friendly place.
That's nice.
Yes. I'll end on a poem, if that's all right.
Yes, please.
Because of your mentioning of meditation, this is one called Peace Reciprocates. As we find our way to peace, to balance with ourselves, we entwine ourselves with that which restores us. As nature flows into and around us, our nature reciprocates. As we sit by the still lake, it becomes a mirror for ourselves, as our souls become mirrors for that which we inhabit. Our peace is found in this reciprocation between that which restores us and that which is us, and so peace becomes us and we become peace.
You always know how to conclude and tie everything up in a beautiful bow-tied, ribbon-wrapped, candy-striped parcel. I'm so grateful to you. That couldn't have been a greater reflection. I want to say good morning and happy Monday to everybody. I am grateful for your energy in my life. I'm grateful for each other, and I'm grateful that we're here achieving our own growth in our own way through the messages that we hear. And that one resonated loud and proud with me, Tony. So I love you all very much, and I will see you at 7 o'clock tonight in Inclusion. Happy, outstanding You Day, everybody. Have a good one, and remember, we are just better together. Lots of love. Bye-bye.